Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome, day 2 of the KeHE Summer Selling Show. It's really great to see everybody this morning, and we're excited for just the next few minutes. As the announcer's voice said, we call it the voice of God sometimes. It's kind of weird. My name is Rusty Bland. I'm the Executive Vice President of Culture for KeHE, and I also run the KeHE Cares Foundation. Thank you so much for those of you who served this morning. Makes a big difference. It is part of who we are. It's my honor this morning, though, to host a Q&A session, a conversation with Brandon Barnholt, who's been KeHE's CEO for the past 15 years, and shortly, in the next couple of months, will be transitioning to the executive chair role at KeHE. And then Deb Conklin, who is the new and incoming president and CEO for KeHE, and she's going to be taking that role in the next couple of months. So it's kind of a historic moment, a big day, if you will, for us, because there's a conversation happening and a launching, and we want you to get to know these two incredible individuals, essentially. And it's also something that, for me, I've had a front row seat. So for a minute, I just want to set the table a little bit for what we've seen over the past couple years. It was 4 years ago, as part of our leadership development and succession planning, that we were looking to fill 2 board seats, one of them ultimately being filled by Deb Conklin. And we got to know Deb. We started wondering maybe she one day, if things worked out, maybe she could be Brandon's successor, because we were thinking about that. And it's, again, my role has been worrying about and thinking about KeHE's culture for the past 15 years. We believe that culture is as leaders do and as leaders behave. So it's a very unique culture that we're trying to build and trying to maintain here at KeHE. And so, and then it was 18 months ago that Brandon and the board started talking about and inviting me into the process of his replacement, which was weird, kind of surreal, because Brandon's so iconic. Brandon's a friend, and yet what was clear in that process is what brings us here today. And so, very excited to talk with Deb and Brandon. Deb checks all the boxes in terms of competencies, in terms of what you'd look for in a CEO. But what hopefully you'll see, what I've been able to see, what a lot of the senior team has been able to see, is how incredible Deb is as a person. She has deep character. She's a person of infectious joy, actually. And she sees other people. She is an encourager of people. And what we have seen is that, maybe above everything else, is she is 100% aligned and passionate about KeHE's mission and KeHE's culture. We think KeHE's different. If you're new in the room to KeHE and don't know that yet, we're hoping that you feel that difference. We have a gratitude wall out there. We have serving events. We want to be a company that serves to make lives better. We aspire, and I know we don't hit it every time, but we aspire that where we go, goodness follows, which are lofty ideals. And having a leader that understands that, having a leader that can shepherd that and steward that, has been a big part of this process. And again, I think you'll see that with Deb. I think you'll see that with how they interact with each other. And so without any further pause, if you will, join me in welcoming Deb and Brandon to the stage. Well, here we go, the talk show. It's good to see both of you guys. So, Brandon, we're going to start with you. Okay. And just kind of, it seems appropriate, but tell us how you came to this decision.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's a lot of people in the company, a lot of people in the industry, and probably people here today that wonder, how do I know? How, and I'm talking about them as individuals, how do I know it's time? And I've done a lot of study on this, and there's one article in particular that a scholar unpacked out of the Bible, the 7 markers that would indicate that it's time for a leadership change. And out of those 7 markers, 5 of them hit me right in the face. They were absolutely true. I won't name them all, but I'll tell you that if you're thinking about this at all, if you're near the age, that there is a season. It is about the team around you and the strength of the team. It's about the possible replacement. But most importantly for me, are you losing energy? Are you able to lead the team in the way that you did, prior? And I came to the conclusion that I was unable to lead the way that I did 5 years ago or 3 years ago. So it's not fair to the company, it's not fair to the industry, it's not fair to the people if I don't have the energy to do it. So it was time.
You've had a few times to be able to express that too. You've done that so well internally. So it was time, but how did you come to the decision that Deb was the one and kind of landing on that?
Well, of course, it wasn't just me, it was a committee, and you were involved in it, and you know the journey. But for everybody in the room, 4 years ago, as Rusty said, when we met Deb, it was clear to me, and I think she knew at the time, that something was unusual. But it was clear to me that this was a special person and maybe someone that eventually would be my replacement. And I've talked to her about it over the years. It has creeped her out. But I've talked about it. And when we began to put the full court press on during this search, she'll tell you the story, but it just wasn't yet in her mind that this was the right thing to do. I'm going to be honest, I knew it. I knew it 4 years ago, and I've known it every step of the way, and it's great to have her.
That's amazing. It has been amazing to watch that. Deb, welcome formally to KeHE. You've been on the board for several years. You're one of us. You've been involved in lots of different things. So how did you know that it was the next right step for you?
When I first think about the amount of companies that I've had the opportunity to work with in my career, 150 companies, 20 different industries, there was absolutely something special about KeHE out of the gates. The culture, the willingness to be faith-friendly, and I think even if you're not a faith-based person, that breeds integrity and honesty and trust and a set of values that a lot of other companies you just don't see operate by. And so I saw all those things, but then the thing that was kind of the kicker for me, I loved the purpose of goodness. Like I just fundamentally in my heart and my soul, doing good for other people means a lot to me personally. A lot of companies are out there wanting to do good, but they also don't understand that you have to make money at the same time. And the reason why you have to make money at the same time is because we have employee owners that depend upon this. We have our customers and suppliers that need us to grow and reinvest in our business and have the dollars to do that, plus also the ability to reinvest in our communities and help people who need the help. And so there was just all of these things that came together, and when I kept saying, I'm not sure, literally there was a sign everywhere I went. It would be me standing in my office in Dallas and seeing a KeHE truck walk by as I was trying to decide whether or not it was my right answer. It was everywhere. And so I finally gave up and said, I need to stop trying to make my own signs, and I need to start listening to the signs that are there. And it was the most epiphany of, as soon as I said yes, I could literally feel a calm come over my body. I knew I had made the right decision. And every minute I've spent with KeHE since then, it just reiterated the reason why I made the right decision.
Yeah, so grateful for that. A lot of us have that story, by the way, of these
I'm hearing
unusual.
that.
Yeah. How did you get to KeHE? And then there's the story that comes. So Brandon, you're moving into the exec chair role. What are you going to be focused on, and how's that position going to unfold?
Yeah, I've never retired before, and I've never been an exec chair before, so I'm learning as I go. But I will say, just for the crowd, there is a growing movement of this job called executive chair. Private equity firms use it a lot as they go into a company. And we decided that it was the right situation here because Deb's got all the skill in the world to do the job, but it would be awesome if someone like me was available for phone a friend. And that's kind of my job for the next year as an executive chairman in the company. I will be the chairman of the board of the company, and that's awesome, and hope to continue to do that longer term. But for that first year, what it really says is the company pays me to be available for Deb to make her successful. And so my only job is to tell her what's around the corner and maybe keep her out of the ditch on a decision. But most importantly, just the nuances and the subtleties of our business and of this industry and the way that all of you do business and what you need to know. I've learned it over the last 15 years, and it's available for her, and that's my job, and I look forward to it.
You moved out of your office immediately.
It took me about an hour.
Everyone's like, you don't need to go that fast. You were making it really clear that you wanted.
She's in charge.
Yep, doing it well. So Deb, you've been CEO at a number of other companies, but this is the first time that you're joining a company that has the kind of momentum, the strength, financial health, marketplace opportunities like KeHE has. So how is the opportunity different, and how are you thinking about this new opportunity?
It's probably one of the things I'm most excited about. Most of the organizations I go into are either broken, on life support, have a terrible strategy, horrible execution, and KeHE is the antithesis of that. Phenomenal people, best in class. And like I said, I've been in tons of industries. The people that work for this organization are not only class acts, but they are best in their field. And to come in and be able to learn the business and be part of that learning experience instead of what felt like in my entire career has been kind of like ready, fire aim. I didn't even have time to take aim. To me, it's just a blessing and an opportunity. I not only have my phone a friend to make sure I stay out of the ditch, but I have this amazing group of people to help guide and shepherd us. I get to do my job and you guys do your job, and I'm the kind of chief roadblock remover. And I get the ability to learn the business and have the opportunity to do that versus trying to put out fires out of the gates. I don't even know how to get up in the morning. It's so exciting.
That's awesome. Well, and you are the Energizer Bunny, so I know that you're up and running already on things. As you look at the next couple months, how are they looking? What do you think's ahead?
I am a very relationship-based person. I believe that you can't really trust somebody until you get to know them. And so I got to give you guys an opportunity to learn who I am so that you can trust me. And I think that runs the gamut. I expect to, go to our DCs and meet our teams and see the challenges in front of them. I expect to meet our suppliers and our brokers and our customers, all who make this amazing supply chain thing work. And that is a learning experience for me. It'll give me the opportunity to hear from you guys of what we can do better. And I'm going to try to consolidate all that into, how does that further influence our next steps? And so to me, it's going to be about getting to know people and understanding the business and, obviously calling Brandon to make sure I'm thinking about things from both a strategic as well as a long-term, health of the business standpoint. So I expect I'll get to know a lot of you, I hope.
It's been kind of a weird environment in the economy too. And Brandon, usually you're at least once a year putting on your economist hat, your researcher hat, and giving this audience and really the kind of the industry your perspectives. What are you seeing ahead, and how are we looking from an economy and from marketplace standpoint?
Yeah, I'll keep this really brief, but when I spoke this summer in Chicago, I talked about the R word. And it's interesting when you read all the economists right now, there's a lot of people, a lot of evidence that say that we're not in a recession. There's also a lot of economists that believe we're in a recession by sector, and we're in a rolling recession, and it's coming to a theater near you. What I would say is the most important thing that we all ought to be focused on right now is the consumer. The consumer in America makes up 70% of the economy. The consumer is feeling the impact of not only rapid and intense inflation, but they're feeling the impact of now higher interest rates and our federal government trying to slow down the economy. So the consumer absolutely fuels our economy. They absolutely fueled it during COVID. And if I'm in this industry and I'm in your shoes and I'm either a retailer or I'm a brand, I am beginning right now to promote, because the economy is slowing, the consumer's running out of money, the consumer's already beginning to buy differently, they're going to shift what they do, and in our industry with our products, we absolutely need to begin to get them back in, not only into the store, but into the products that we have. So it is time to be aggressive about promotion. That would be my number one thing. It's all about the consumer right now.
Deb, how about you?
I think I saw inflation coming with all of, early in COVID, with all the stimulus money, all the supply chain disruptions. I knew it was going to come, but I didn't realize it would come as hard and as fast as it did. When you think about it, 40 years ago was the last time that happened, and I was like 12, right? So I wasn't in the business world, and I had no idea how to survive through that. And I think the thing that's going to happen is I think inflation is going to continue at that kind of 5-6%. I think it's going to take 2 or 3 years for it to moderate, but I think the moderation is going to be in that 2% range, not the 1.5% range that we were. And then the only other comment that I think is, potentially additive to the conversation is I don't think we've yet felt the recessionary pressure of interest rates and new home starts slowing, because I think there was so much in the pipeline and so much activity. I still think we have that pressure to come. So I second Brandon's, kind of thoughts is we've got to promote to keep things strong, to make sure that we keep the environment moving. And with that also means that everybody in the supply chain is going to be forced by consumers to try to take cost out of inefficiencies, because a lot of inefficiencies have been built into the system through COVID, and we haven't gotten them all out of the system yet, and that's going to be a big part.
So Brandon, hopes and dreams for KeHE as you transition to these new roles?
Yeah, it's easy for me to answer that question now because, Deb's got to go get it done. So, but, my hopes and dreams would be that KeHE continues to be the pillar that we are in the industry. We know that brands have choices on how they get to the retail store, and we know that retailers have choices on who they trust in their supply chain. But we've taken a good position. We've grown nicely over the last decade or so, and it's my opinion that the marketplace leaves us with an opportunity to literally double in size. And I think that there's just a tremendous need in the marketplace for the supply chain partner that we are as a company to be able to fill big gaps for retailers and be their supply chain partner, and to continue to be the path to market for brands. So it would be, A, from a culture standpoint, that the culture stays what it is and gets even stronger. B, that the company basically doubles in size. And C, that we continue to be a pillar in the industry that people in the industry can count on to do our job.
Mission accepted.
Yeah. So Deb, this is a multi-part question because in the room we've got retailers, we have suppliers, we have KeHE employees. So as you have an outlook on those groups, what are your thoughts on each one?
First off, I think really successful companies have an obsession for their customers and their suppliers and their employees. And I think the word obsession is a strong word, and it's intended to be. It drives you to do different things. And if you think about your supplier and your broker base, for example, having an obsession for them can take the shape of being easy to do business with and for. And being here my first day of the show, of my show I've ever been in, right? I have talked to so many people, and I've seen firsthand that incredibly unique relationship that exists between that entire network. And I think that comes from a lot of really important things, whether it's been investment in technology to make this show more beneficial and easier for people to operate in, or it's just actually listening so that we could be a better partner. I think the DNA of KeHE is that people who work for this company truly want to help their partners succeed. And yes, we'll always have angst and gnashing of teeth along the way, but the way that we're approaching it as a team is trying to make everybody successful and grow and doing it the best way possible. And so from my perspective, I think the other piece that will come to play is I'm huge into innovation. And I think many companies look at what I'll call incrementality versus operating in an exponential kind of environment. And so trying to push us to be more and more innovative, I think gives us the license and the freedom to be more creative so that we can be a better partner over time. From a customer perspective, I sat in the board seat and I watched how much investment that KeHE made into their system. KeHE is ready for growth. We now have free and open capacity, whether it was new warehouses, expanding warehouses, consolidating warehouses, whether it was what, as an outsider looking in, and soon will hopefully be an insider, is we have technology that is not only industry best, it trumps a lot of other industries' technology. And so the ability to use that technology, use that data, like I talked about, the folks that are here to support and grow those business relationships and create value, I think that is going to be a game changer. And listening to our customers as well, why we win business, why we don't win business, where we can improve so we can build that into our improvement plans, I think will go a really long way. And the good news is I get a fresh set of eyes and the ability to see the business a little bit differently and just continue to build on what's already been done. And then lastly, for our employee base, you know, I had the privilege in the late 2000s to work for a guy named Gary Loveman. And Gary is was the CEO of Caesars Entertainment. And in his prior career had been a Harvard Business School professor. And Gary wrote an article for Harvard Business Review that was called The Service Profit Chain. And it changed the way that I thought about what my job was. And the Service Profit Chain article talks about happy and engaged employees yield happy and engaged customers. I always thought, what's your number one job, Deb? It's to take care of the customer? No, because I don't add any value whatsoever. I don't take an order, I don't plan a demand, I don't load a truck, I don't collect a bill, I do absolutely nothing. So if I could be the chief roadblock remover and take care of our employees and make sure we're doing the right thing, they have the right tools, the right resources to do their jobs, then we have the ability to take care of this entire supply chain. And so for me, that's kind of how I think about how I hopefully fit into the evolution of KeHE's leadership, because I think it fits well with our strategy and our approach to our teams.
I love that. And there's a follow-up question I think that maybe many employees are wondering with a new leader, first time in 15 years. Significant changes that you're seeing inside of KeHE, what's going to happen?
Well, number one, I'm not smart enough to answer that question yet, so I'm not even an employee yet. But I think that the good news is Brandon and the team have involved me in the last handful of months in the next phase of strategic planning. I don't see a pivot in the strategic plan. I see us building on the things that have already made us excellent. And so I don't see a big change from that perspective. I would tell you that I have a desire, as Brandon said, to grow the business. And it's so that we have more tools in our toolbox and better ways to go to market. And the example I'll give you is on Fresh, right? And Fresh, we're a mile wide and an inch deep in our offering. I'd love to see us get a mile deep. And that's likely going to take some acquisitions. You can build things or buy things. And in that scenario, it might be best to buy lineal of the business that will really help us grow the Fresh business. And so, you know, I think what you're going to find, Brandon and I are similar but different. I have all the energy that he doesn't want to have anymore, which is probably a little problematic. But the good news is I also know that I'm a redneck from South Carolina. I'm clearly not the smartest kid in the room. I got to depend upon the people that are, you know, with me and around me that are, you know, helping make sure we bring the business in the right direction.
This may be the most important set of questions that we have, right? First off, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl?
Well, my teams are all out, and my conference is still in, and so I can't root for that team. I'm going to pick the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right, so I am a Giants fan, which by religion means I cannot pull for the Eagles, but I do think that they will win.
Yeah, it does seem inevitable.
Yes.
But we've been surprised before. Okay, so pivoting, and this may be more important for you, Deb, and near and dear to your heart. But what about the 2024 College National Championship?
Oh, where's
Football.
my Clemson logo? Hold on. For those
Oh,
of
you like Clemson?
I know, right? For those of you who don't know me, I am a huge Clemson fan. I went to Clemson and been a season ticket holder since '92. And my entire fall schedule is planned around the Clemson football schedule. It's a family affair. My cousins, my niece, lots of Clemson grads. So I am going to predict Clemson and your Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah.
And it's in Houston. And I have hope for that for at least another 208 days until Clemson opens on Labor Day weekend. So we're at least good till then.
That's right. And we'll go to that game.
That's right.
Well, thank you both for your vulnerability this morning. Thank you to the room for taking the time out to be here. Super excited about all of this and appreciate your time and just being a little bit vulnerable with our KeHE family, as we say. And really, that concludes our time from what I understand, the floor is open. So have an awesome day 2, and let's go sell some things, right?
Right.
Thank you.